Lady Trucking CEO podcast.
Uh-huh.
And today we have a very special guest with us, Coach Snow. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
Well, hello everyone, and thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited about doing this for you and myself. It helps me to be in front of the camera talking to people a little bit more because I'm more of a behind the person type
Okay.
individual. But anyway, my name is Chamiel Snow, and I go by Coach Snow. I started in the industry over 22 years ago. I first started off as a driver,
Mm.
and then after I started off as a driver, I had to come off the truck and become a agent slash broker for Landstar.
Wow.
So I've been in the industry for some time,
So, how long were you driving on the road before you transitioned?
10 years.
So you were 10 years, you were just a solo driver, or were you
I
teaming?
was team
Okay, tell
driver
us a
with
little bit
my
about
husband.
that.
All right. So my husband, I used to tell him, I said, I want to learn how to drive. Will you teach me how to drive when he comes home with his work truck? And he's like, no, go sit down somewhere. And I'm like, no, I've always been around big vehicles ever since I was a little girl in Jamaica. I was born in Jamaica. So my dad had a transportation business, which was like a bus business.
Mm-hmm.
And he drove people to the country and drove for himself. And when he was short of drivers, he was pulling my sister out of school to drive. And
Wow.
she was like 16 at the time. And I just was like, oh my gosh, my sister is driving this big old bus. I know I can do it. So it's always been in my blood to kind of just
Mm.
always wanting to drive. So when he came home with the truck, I was like, oh, can I just take me around the block? No, go sit down. So anyway, we started driving. He take me around a little bit on his routes and stuff like that. And oh my God, I enjoyed it so much. But he just did not believe I wanted to be a driver. I was,
Wow.
driving truck, school bus and odds and end job driving. I've always just drove.
Mm.
So anyway, he said, okay, if you want to do this, okay, I'll take you around. What is this? That's how it goes. And that's
Mm.
all he would say, nothing else. So then while I was driving the school bus, I got off my route and I saw this guy one day on my route had a 20, I think it was maybe a 26-foot trailer, a 28-foot trailer with
Mm-hmm.
a little old day cab truck in front. So I said, after my ride, I'm gonna go by there and see, what he does with that little truck. So he said, I teach people how to drive. I was like, what? You teach people how to drive? He's like, yes, ma'am. He said, do you already have a CDL? I said, yep, I have a CDL to drive a school bus. He said,
Mm-hmm.
well, it shouldn't be a problem for you. Have you ever drove a stick before? I said, nope. He said, well, that might be a problem. I said,
Mm.
well, come on, let's do it. So he thought, maybe about 2 weeks he could train me and take me back into the DPS office to get my license. I drove the truck in 3 days
Oh, you were ready. You were ready.
and then got my license the fourth day. So
Wow.
when I came home, I presented it to my husband. He's like, "What is that?" I said, "I got my CDL. I got my CDL, and now we going on the road."
Wow. So
So
what
yeah,
was
so
that?
that's how.
What was that transition like now going on the road with your husband?
Uh, I just felt like, oh my God, I'm about to be on vacation. It's gonna be good. It's oh my God, we about to just go into these hotels every night when we stop and no.
Mm. So how was your expectation versus the reality? How did that part go?
But while I was driving one night, it was getting, it was around 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock or something. And I said, okay, how much further we had to go? Because then I didn't know the road like that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know the
Mm-hmm.
highways like that. So I'm like, okay, 10 o'clock kid. Okay, so when we gonna stop and go to bed and take a shower? He said, we ain't gonna stop and take no shower. I said, what? He said, no. You want to be on the road? I'm gonna show you what it takes to be on the road.
Okay, you want to be on the road? Here we go.
Get that that took me back, like no shower, no, you gonna keep driving all through the night till we get where we needed to be. And I'm telling you, if that man hadn't have taught me that part, he taught it to me just like raw, like you're gonna get into this, get into it. I would be stuck on the mountains and he'll say, start over. He wasn't the type of husband that saved me to, okay, now you're gonna learn. Because he had told me so many times, when you're going up the mountains, you gotta get the gas and hit the gas and run, go. And I was just like so scared.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he taught me. Yes, he taught me everything I needed to know.
Wow.
I know everything about alcohol wipes. I know about salads and throwing stuff together to make a meal. Oh God, yeah. I learned it.
So what were some of the things that, what were the three biggest takeaways that you took with you from your experiences being on the truck?
Number one, first and foremost, appreciative of everything I had in my home. I wouldn't have had the couch I sit on, the bed I lay in, if it wasn't for a truck driver.
Wow.
All right? The sacrifice from your family, and when you do make that money, you just don't go spending it all in one place. You budget, because there were down times when we didn't have a lot of freight, and then there were times when we were just flooded with freight.
Okay.
So those times, oh yeah, I'm forever grateful for a truck driver.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, so you said now you have your own freight brokerage where you're a broker and you broker freight for other carriers. Tell us about the transition from being on the truck into freight brokering. How did you get into that part of the business?
All right. So I had my son at the time. He was about 2 years old. I got pregnant when I was on the truck. And I, said, okay, I got to just make this work. And I thought I could keep him on the truck with me until he was ready to go to pre-K. So I wasn't able to. So they told me, hey, you got to get off the truck with your baby and go home and become a freight agent. Of course, I didn't know what that means. So then I started reaching out to some agents. No one would tell me anything until one lady, Freight Lady BJ, I met her because we had pulled a couple of loads for her. And I asked her, what is this dispatch freight brokering stuff about? So she tells me that she works finding loads, hustling loads, are, doing sales calls to individuals who need freight moved. Yes. So like I was saying at first, I just did not know what that was. I didn't know how I was going to take it. I just knew that I love driving. I like being out and about. And you put me behind a desk to be a pencil pusher was not my thing. I was having a meltdown. So I met her, Freight Lady BJ, who taught me everything. I mean, I was so hard-headed about a lot of stuff. God bless her heart. She taught me everything I need to know in the business. And, we're still best friends today.
Wow.
So I'm forever grateful about that as well, because she taught me everything I needed to know. And the transition, yes, was hard because I was on the truck some still, and I would come back to her until she sat me down and said, hey, it's either you're going to lose your contract with your baby on the truck with you, or you just need to sit down and learn this business. So I had to sit down. I had to learn the business. That's all I had to do. Making all those telephone calls was hard to become a broker.
What was your mindset like when in having to make that kind of decision? It's kind of like you have this baby, your baby, and now, you're in this situation where you have to make this decision. What helped you finally make that decision to say, you know what, I just have to do this? Because sometimes it's so hard as women to make that choice.
I looked at my baby and I said, he's used to being with his mom every single day for the first 2 years of his life. And it's not even time for him to really go out into the real world yet, such as being in a daycare or
Mm-hmm.
being in school and things of such. And I looked at him and I said, I have to do this, and I have to do everything possible to make sure I keep my baby every day.
Mm.
I'm not gonna put my baby off on my mom, even though my mom was, good then. I wasn't gonna put him off on my mom. My mom had already sacrificed helping me with my daughter when I was
Mm.
on the road 2 weeks at a time, because I had to leave my
Okay.
daughter, and she hold it down for me. So I knew I couldn't put another baby down on my mom, and I said, I have got to make this work, and I've got to help my mom out because she
Mm-hmm.
helped me. So
Mm.
I had to provide a place for my family and help my family out. So yeah, that
Okay.
was I had a why.
So the
You
baby
got
was
to
the
go
why.
into this with a why.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I? Your why have to almost be bigger than yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And my why was my baby. I looked at him every day. He knew when he woke up, he saw mom. His mom was taking care of him, phone ringing and all.
Mm.
He was my why.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh, your
hard.
children really, they really help to add that motivation, because like you
Mm-hmm.
said, when you start to think of them and you look in their faces and you're just like, I have to do this, and you
Mm-hmm.
realize that there's almost nothing else in the world
Mm-hmm.
that um could compare to that feeling of looking in your child's face and understanding that I have to do this for my family,
I
because at
have
the end of
to.
the day, they're the ones who stand to benefit, and they're also the ones who stand to lose if I don't. It's
Ex-
not, yeah.
Exactly. And I even thought about, if I go to daycare, if I put him in daycare, how much daycare fees is going to be? Am I
Those,
going to be working 2, 3 jobs just to pay daycare and be able to put food on, help my husband put food on the table?
mm,
So yeah, it was a lot. So I
wow.
made it my why, and I knew I had to make it work.
Okay. And okay, so what would you say it was one of the biggest challenges about getting into freight brokering?
That sales call, that it's almost like you had to have done some form of network marketing business, or sold Avon or Mary Kay or something, to
Mm-hmm.
have that little bit of background behind you. Those tips or training to kind of help you. I had none of that.
Wow.
And I had to go in there. I'm telling you, when I told you Free Lady BJ is the patientest person in the world that God laid me upon to
Mm.
help me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't have asked for a better person, that was
Mm.
just so patient. So yeah, that sales call and selling the freight, because then
Okay.
I'm on the driver side and I'm on now the brokerage side.
Mm.
And a couple of times when the load is $2,400, and I need to sell the load for 2,200, and I have to make a commission, and then also the job is going to be taking their portion. It's almost like there's nothing left.
Mm.
So the driver side of it was hard for me, because
Mm-hmm.
I've been a driver and I know, oh my gosh, this load is paying 2,400. It would be such a blessing to a driver. This is a good paying load.
Mm-hmm.
And there's times I gave the driver the whole thing. And she looked at
Really?
me and she said, how much was the load paying? I said 2,400. And she said, how much did you give the driver? 2,400. Okay, so who's gonna pay what? Who's gonna pay? Where's the commission at? Where's my part at? What you mean, where your part at? I gave away the whole thing. And I've
Wow.
done that a couple times. And she sat there and listened to the whole call and just let me do my own mess up.
Mm.
And from that day, girl, I know you've been a driver, but you're on this side of the platform now, and you got to be somewhere in the middle. So
Mm.
that taught me you've got to be in the middle and be fair.
Yeah, because I being in the dispatching side of it
Uh-huh.
and trying to negotiate with the brokers, sometimes it just seems like, why do these brokers want so much? Like, what is they want me to go all the way from Georgia all the way up to New York for $1,500? Like, what are they doing? But
But if you ever come on this side, you'll
mm-hmm,
actually see how much money is on the plate.
mm,
And it really is a lot.
wow.
So then by the time the customer gives it to somebody else, because a lot of the customers don't just come directly to me
Mm-hmm.
or to the broker. They have channels that they are already going through. So when they don't shed the load off 5, 6 different times, by the time it gets to the driver, it's like not even worth it.
Wow. So that's why that's why those loads look like that sometimes. Sometimes we look and we're just like, why does what, what's going on here?
Yeah, it's a
Wow.
lot.
So if there was something, so can you share with us like maybe 3 tips for carriers who have to deal with brokers, being that you've been on both sides? And I don't know if you can answer this, but being on both sides, what advice would you have for carriers who are negotiating their rates?
Try to see if you can go directly to the shipper.
Hmm. Why would?
Some shippers will work directly with the truck,
Mm-hmm.
but they only want to work with a fleet of trucks,
Right.
but you got to find that one that will work with one or two
Mm.
and give you the freight.
Okay.
Then you'll cut out the middle person out, you know. But the only reasons is why they don't want to work with just one truck and I mean, not one trucking company, but with one driver, is because they have so much of a large volume. So
Mm.
you're really not going to fit into their script if they have volumes of load, then you're just going in there for one.
Got it.
They want you to have multiple trucks. But for carriers, if you can, reach out to that mom and pop type customer
Mm-hmm.
that is not moving a volume of freight and not really worried about just putting a one truck on their load. So if you could get your own, go directly to the shipper at that point and negotiate what rate you would do that load for,
Mm.
yes,
Okay.
then that will help you out tremendously.
So
Yeah.
you said that your biggest challenge was the phone calls, making the phone calls, and like basically building those relationships with those shippers.
Right.
Um, what did you find to be so challenging about that? Because I know sometimes. Well, I'll let
They
you go
already
ahead.
know you. They already know what you're calling for. And the minute they hear who you work for, they hang up the phone in your face.
Oh,
Or they
okay.
say, girl, you need to go find you another job. That's a horrible company. And you got to keep it professional.
Mm.
Well, you know what? I'm so sorry you feel that way, sweetie. You know what? Maybe I call you in about 2 more weeks and see how you feel then. And they'll be like, don't call back. I'll be like, you know what? I might just do that. You have a great day.
That requires a lot of mental toughness and
A lot.
tenacity to be able
Uh,
to do that
yep.
so kindly,
Keep them, kill them
professionally.
with
Yeah.
kindness. You got
Hmm.
to, because they'll hang up the phone in your face. So
And
yeah,
so,
and hearing no, 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 no all day long to get one yes,
mm. So
that's a
what's the
challenge.
mindset behind that? The mindset behind that. Okay, this is like my 20th no. I have not gotten a yes yet. Well, you know,
I got to keep
what?
going. I got to keep going. I mean, what else am I going to do to get? I got to get freight from
Mm,
somebody. So I got to keep. I have to have the mindset. I got to keep going. Just because one person said no, 20 said no, maybe the next 50 won't. So I
mm,
have to keep. I have to keep going. You
mm,
can't. You cannot stop. You can't. And they know what you're calling for. All these distribution centers, they know what you want.
mm.
So yeah.
So what would you say your biggest success has been since you've been freight brokering?
Um, well, I've had a lot. I want to say I have a lot of success. Years ago, it just brought me so much freedom,
Mm-hmm.
and flexibility in my life. And now I'm training others, and that's a success for me. I said by the
Mm-hmm.
end of the year, I want to have at least five agents,
Okay.
satellite agents working along with me,
Mm-hmm.
and I got five
Okay.
already.
Okay. That's
I got
awesome.
two more hot prospects that might be next before the year is out. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I set my goals high, and I try to, keep on going every single day. Yes. So yeah, I've been happy with that.
Okay, so now you're training others to be freight brokers.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us what what's the basics? What is needed? What does someone need? If there's someone listening to this podcast today and they're like, freight brokering, I don't really want to drive on the road, or maybe they used to drive on the road like you, but now they're kind of ready for something else or ready for the next thing that will be able to um, find, fill in fill in, where they
Mm-hmm.
might be lacking so
Mm-hmm.
what would you say are like the steps to getting into freight brokering?
Okay. So first of all, I definitely would take anyone who just want to learn, anyone
Mm-hmm.
that wants to invest into something totally different and be on a total different platform for at least 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
I take anybody. I have nurses, I have teachers, I have respiratory nurse that is taking my training, that have said, my husband drive or some family member drove, and they want to now venture or tap into this. What
Mm.
do I need? Come on to my platform, 4 to 5 weeks, invest in yourself, invest your time, and learn the business from scratch.
So
So
go ahead.
yeah, go ahead. Yeah, so they
no
don't
i
have to
was
have anything.
no I was just going to say, so it sounds like it's important to have a desire, number one, to make the
Mhm.
investment in yourself,
Yes.
and
Mm-hmm.
to be willing to spend the time that's going to be required in order to learn the information.
Right.
And you also have to have tough skin. If you
Ooh,
also have to have tough skin.
tough skin ain't the word. Yes, you do.
So if you
You almost gotta be made out of leather.
Oh wow. Wow.
Yes. It's rough. But yeah.
So so we know, all right, so we know that it's rough, and it's not necessarily going to be easy, because we don't want to sugarcoat and make it seem like, oh, it's so, with everything every rose has its thorn, I'll put it that way, right?
Yes.
So what would
Yes.
you say are some of the benefits in becoming a freight broker?
Well, it's definitely, like I said before, definitely flexibility, you
Mm-hmm.
know, um, being the owner of your own company.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're not a broker, you're just an agent, you're still running your own little entity. You can branch off, you can, make different tree branches from the agency and do multiple things.
Mm.
So it's just all up to you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So now that you are a driver,
Mm-hmm.
you've been a freight broker, you are a freight broker. Now
Mm-hmm.
you're teaching others how to do what you're doing in freight brokering. So what is next for Coach Snow? What would you say is like, where do you see yourself in the next like 5 to 10 years of like what you want to be doing? What's your vision?
Okay, so right now I do everything online with everyone. Okay, so this virtual thing, it's okay for now.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something I really care for that much. I like to be in the presence of people some, and visiting and talking to people. So, but years from now, I want to have a logistics school. I
Mm-hmm.
want it to be where they're getting trained on one side and then they're working on the other side. I
Mm-hmm.
just want it to be like a room full of, I hate to say the word chicken, like a chicken coop, and everybody just working together and chattering and moving loads and all that kind of stuff excite me. When they
Mm.
move their first load, it excites me. So that's one of my goals in the next 10 years, to actually have a logistics school. Yes,
Wow.
ma'am.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. So, if
Mhm.
anyone is interested um, in connecting with you or being a part of the freight agent, now, really quick, what just before I ask that question, what is the difference between a freight broker and a freight agent? So, are the people that work with you, are you training them to become agents or brokers?
I'm training them to become agents,
Okay.
but what they can do eventually is to become a broker.
Okay, so can you get into
Uh,
how are those two things different?
Two different. Okay. So the freight broker has its own MC number and authority, and they run directly under the um, FMCSA. Okay. They are their own entity.
And
All right.
just for those who might not know, FMCSA is the Federal Motor Carrier
Carrier. Hmm.
Association.
Right. So they work with the strictly under that code
Mm-hmm.
to become a freight broker. Me coming in under that brokerage, I'm working as an agent.
Mm-hmm.
So I sell loads to trucking companies,
Mm-hmm.
but you can work for one hour, couple trucking companies if you want to, but I'm work for one trucking company, which is Landstar. Landstar is the brokerage, and I'm the agent under the brokerage.
Mm-hmm.
So then now I'm creating these little branches from my agencies within the Landstar network in order to train people to become agents. So that's the
Okay.
difference. I don't take all responsibility of being a broker. I'm just
What are some of those responsibilities of being a broker that agents don't have to think about?
number one, I don't have to pay that surety bond.
Okay, and what is an a surety bond?
The surety bond is just part of your brokerage covering your freight and whoever you do business with
Mm-hmm.
within the industry.
And so,
Okay.
about how much is that?
I think it goes by your credit. So
Okay.
it can run very high. I've had a young lady not too long ago purchase it for like $4,000.
Wow.
She had to pay it up front.
So the surety bond is 4,000, or is it a different, is it a certain amount that you're supposed to have for the
You're supposed to
surety
have at
bond?
least at least 75,000, but her
Okay.
deposit that she had to pay down
Oh, I see.
based on your credit. So yeah,
Mm.
so she did that. She's now a broker,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the difference. I don't want to be a broker. I don't want to do all that. I don't want to pay for the surety bond. I don't want to pay for any cargo insurance. Some companies require you to have at least 100,000 to 200,000, sometimes $1 million worth of coverage,
Mm.
and I don't want to do all that. So I
Okay.
rather just work along with a company that already have all that in place already. And
Mm-hmm.
all I have to do is get the freight, sell it to their drivers, or sell it to some outside carriers and
Mm-hmm.
get a commission once a week. So that's what I want to do.
Oh, so in order to become a freight agent,
Hmm.
what all you need is what?
Your computer and your cell phone.
Okay, so you don't actually really. I'm gonna talk to you after this is over. Wait, so you just need a computer and a cell phone. You don't need like any insurance or anything like that because you're a
No,
freight agent, not the broker.
that's correct.
Mm.
And I'm not taking all the responsibility. I mean, I take some responsibility, of course, because it's the freight and it's the
Mm-hmm.
company that I work under. So I want to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that I'm in compliance, I'm certified, in doing whatever. But it's not a charge to me. The only thing I pay for is my load board, my cell phone bill, and whatever else I need for my business.
Okay.
So yeah,
And so in your program, you teach people how to go through that process.
that's correct. And
Okay.
then when they're finished with me now, you've got your customers, you cold call your days away to get those customers. They're yours to take
How long
to
did
your
it
own
take you?
brokerage.
How long did it take you to get your first client?
Years ago, it took me almost 6 months
Wow.
to get my first client. And Freight Lady BJ taught me and showed me a lot. So she was also sharing her client with me so I can gain experience. So yeah, it took me almost 6 months. And then
Okay.
it took me almost another 3 months just to move a load.
Mm.
So that was years ago.
Okay. So it's a process. I just want people to understand that
Yeah.
it's not just sign up today and start, the shipping
No,
loads tomorrow.
no. I do share my loads with the partners. I call them my
Mm-hmm.
partners because that's what they are. I share my loads with them. They can post them. They can try to work on them. They can try to move them. And some of them have moved a few loads, but they're working to get their customers. And I can say now, using the company name that we work for, they get customers faster than they would if they were to do it on their own, because
Wow.
no one knows you.
Mm.
You can say
Mm-hmm.
Joe Blow Brokerage all day long. No one knows you.
Mm-hmm. But
But
they
you
know
say I'm with Landstar, they know
that's
you.
true. Okay. All right.
Yes.
So tell us how to get in touch with you if we want to be a part of the program that you have.
All righty. So do you mind if I say a little bit about what the program is about,
Absolutely.
Martha?
Yeah.
All righty. So what I do is, and this is what made me years ago. Let me back up just a little bit. My mom had Alzheimer's when I did Landstar. So I had to go ahead and close my agency down. I didn't have anyone to turn my business over to. So I ended up closing it down. And then I said, okay, this time around, I am going to do it with people that wants to learn. Okay, so what we do here at Freight Broker Class is we show individuals how to become a freight agent before they decide to become a freight broker. I want you to learn and know the business before you decide that I'm going to invest so much money out, because it's going to cost you over $5,000 to become a freight broker to start your business. So I want you to learn it first and then, go from there.
Mm.
So what I've created is a 4 to 5 week program um, to show people how to become an agent, give them all the fundamentals, give them the leads to get them their customers, and day-to-day operations of how we do things around here.
Mm.
We do this on WebEx all day long, Monday through Friday. I'm doing at least 40 hours a week with my partners, over 240 hours a month
Wow.
with everybody on here every day. So we do that. When you decide that, okay, after 4 to 5 weeks, all right, I don't want to become a broker anymore, I want to become an agent.
Mm.
If you have a customer, you're generating income at least $500 a week, I will bring you on as a satellite office to me, and then we go on from there. But during the training, we do a 50-50 split. And then after you become a satellite agent, then we do a 70-30 split. And the more you grow, don't have to micromanage you. We'll do a 80-20. And by then you should know, okay, I'm just going to be with you probably 6 more months, and then I'm going to go up and get my own thing going.
Mm.
So it's all up to them at that point. So it's a start to help people do the business, show them the business, also continued mentoring and coaching. Even after we come off WebEx, you continue to call if you have any questions, you want to talk about something relating to the issues or learning the business. That's what I do.
Mm.
Now, the good thing that I try to do different than anybody else is, I remember when I started and I had my son, and I told you my son was my why.
Mm-hmm.
I did have a mom and I did have a husband that if I get burnt out or something, they'll take over or help me out, and I can have some me time.
Mm.
I also
That me
had
time.
family support to help me with growing my business. Okay. A lot of people don't have that. A lot of people are single moms. A lot of people are still out on the road as drivers,
Mm-hmm.
and they want to retire or they want to come off the road. But what are they going to do when they come off? They don't know. They want to become a broker or they want to become an agent. I give you the ability to still train with us and work with us, and you get your customer. And while you're out working, we're still helping you with your customer for
Mm.
you to get your business going.
That's
So
awesome. That's really
then
amazing.
you can go ahead and retire or come off the road or whatever you choose to do.
It sounds
So
like a program that's really going to offer the support that people that are just beginning would really need.
yes,
How can people contact you?
they can contact me at coach@freightbrokerclass.com. That's my email, coach@freightbrokerclass.com. Or they can call me at 682-230-5670. Or they can visit my website at www.coachsnowfreightbrokerclass.com. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Are you on Instagram?
Yes, I think I'm on Instagram as Coach Snow 101, I think. My kids made that up, so I'm not sure. I think it's Coach 101, but my Facebook page is Freight Broker Class. I know that for sure.
Okay, Freight Broker Class on Facebook.
Yes, on Facebook. Yes, and I'm Coach Snow, SNOW. A lot of
Yes.
people think I'm saying no, but it's Snow. Yes, ma'am.
Well, Coach Snow, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for answering, for this great conversation and really
Mhm.
just giving people another option to, get into
Yeah.
something that is different from what they might have thought something different than what they might have thought getting into the trucking industry might be, right?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
definitely freight brokering is a huge side of the industry.
Right.
And being that you had both sides, your perspective has been really invaluable. And I really appreciate you taking the time to talk
Yes.
with me.
Yes.
And it's been a great time. So
Yes. Thank you.
thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I'll be glad to continue. I want to tell you that I respect anybody that looks out for truck drivers or wanting to help truck drivers, change career or a better career or whatever they may want to
Mhm.
be. I really appreciate you doing that and helping others out. Thank you
I
so much.
appreciate that. I just
Mhm.
realized when my husband got into this and when I got into this business that literally we cannot survive as a society without truck drivers.
Karen.
Literally everything that we have, everything
Yeah.
that we see around us, inside or outside, has been on a truck.
Yes, it has.
Even if it flew here on a plane, even if it floated here on a ship, once they get off the plane, once they get off the ship, guess what? They need a truck driver to drive that thing to whatever warehouse, whatever store, or whatever it's going. So every single thing from the brick to some of the trees that they plant outside has been on a truck.
And that's exactly what I do now. Everything from the loads I have comes strictly off the ship. On container goes onto the truck.
Mhm.
I send the container to a warehouse. They break that load down 3 or 4 different ways, and I have to find a load for it.
And it
Each
go- and it and
one
it's rolling on a truck.
roll it on a truck.
So
Everything ends with a truck.
everything ends with the truck. Everything ends with the truck. So thank you
Yes,
so much, Coach Snow. It was a
thank
pleasure
you.
talking to you, and I will see you next time.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you
Thank you
all
so
for
much. I
it was
appreciate you.
it was my pleasure. Thank
All
you
right.
everyone for tuning into the Lady Trucking CEO podcast. And that's our time. See you guys next time. Thank you, Coach Snow.
You're welcome.